Welcome to the Thinking Big podcast. Today is part 2 in a special 14-day Think and Grow Rich challenge. I recently hosted a live 14-day Think and Grow Rich challenge that benefited Feeding America, and it actually helped, each person actually helped 400 people. Absolutely amazing. And I thought it would be great to put this challenge right here on the podcast. So for 14 straight days, I will be releasing a brand new podcast and the associated challenge that covers all 13 steps in Think and Grow Rich, plus a bonus challenge on the introduction. And it doesn't matter if you've ever read the book or not. This challenge is designed for anybody to do. There is a link in the show notes so you can go sign up. You can watch the videos. You can download all of the challenge worksheets and a free PDF copy of the original book, Think and Grow Rich. So today, we're thinking big on persistence, the 8th step in Think and Grow Rich.
Welcome to the Thinking Big podcast with Sean Osborn, the show helping you think bigger into your life and potential. Sean believes by equipping you with the tools, strategies, and philosophies required to be successful in all aspects of your life, you can achieve anything you believe in. Empowering our own growth makes a deeply positive and lasting impact on our lives, community, and our world. Now, here's Sean.
I want to welcome everybody tonight. Tonight is the challenge on persistence. This is a very important one, and it's step 8, but I'm bringing it to step 1. I'm bringing it to first because there's a surprise at the end on today's challenge. So I want to welcome everybody. It's such an honor to be here, such an honor to do this, and I want to welcome everybody to this challenge. This is a fantastic 14-day challenge. Day 2, here we go. Now, again, this challenge is about doing rather than learning. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on these steps, teaching the steps. We're going to do 20 minutes a night, 25 minutes a night at most, going over kind of the step, some of the content, maybe some of the things that stick out for me, and go over the challenge of what we're going to do for the challenge for the day. And again, it's about doing rather than about knowing. And you don't have to, you've never had to have read the book in order to do this challenge. You can do this challenge without ever reading Think and Grow Rich. I've distilled the challenge of the day out based on what's in the chapter. And you could, there's 100 different challenges you can do on each chapter. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to focus most of this challenge on your thoughts, because thoughts are things. But we're going to really focus this challenge in on your current thoughts, where they are, kind of take inventory, where you're at now, and what will your thoughts have to be when you get to your destination, when you get to your goal, your dream. If you're there, what thoughts are you going to have at that point? So that's really what this is about. And again, it's about doing, because how many times have you read a great book, or gone to a seminar, or listened to an Audible and said, man, that's a fantastic idea. I'm going to implement that in my life. And you just never do. Well, that's what this challenge is about. And before we start, every time, again, this is not Napoleon Hill stuff. He was simply a knowledge broker. He interviewed, 500 of the, most successful people at the time, and sorted out what they did, what they had in common. So, and all the great thought leaders, all the great people all say the same thing, because there's really only one way for success, and there's a law of success. And that's what this book really, really teaches. But, I want to start off each time with quotes based on that step. So tonight's step is persistence. So I want to do a few quotes on persistence from other people that are true in alignment with what Hill is saying. So John D. Rockefeller: I do not think there is another quality so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance. It overcomes almost everything, even nature. H. Jackson Brown Jr.: in the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not through strength, but through perseverance. Walter Elliott: perseverance is not a long race. It is many short races, one after another. Vince Lombardi: the difference between a successful person and others is not the lack of strength. It's not the lack of knowledge, but rather the lack of will. And I've given you the book to download. It's line numbered because every once in a while we'll go into things. So if you go to page 168 in the persistence chapter, we're going to do line 324 through 326. The only break anyone can afford to rely upon is a self-made break. These come through the application of persistence, the starting point of definiteness of purpose. Persistence is the essential factor for the process of transforming your ideas into their physical reality. You have to be persistent to do that. You can't do it any other way. Without persistence, you will be defeated even before you start. If you do not have persistence, you're done. That's it. You're not supposed to pack up your bags. With persistence, you win. That is pretty cut and dry, the way he says that. Without persistence, you will be defeated even before you start. With persistence, you will win. Wow, it's pretty clear. So the question really becomes, so how can we build, or manufacture persistence? How can we do that? Well, Hill goes through 8 definite causes of persistence in the book, and we'll quickly go through those. Definiteness of purpose. Knowing what you want is probably one of the most important things that you have. This is what breathes life into whatever task you're embarking upon. You have to have a clear and definite purpose. Desire. That's tomorrow's step, tomorrow's challenge. Desire. Oh man, I'm telling you, easy to be. It is when you have a burning desire, it is so easy to be persistent in what you want. When that desire is burning, it's driving you. You're not driving it. That builds persistence, and the weaker that, he talks about this, the weaker the flame, the weaker the heat. If you want more heat, you got to build more flame. You got to build that fire up. You got to have the burning frickin' desire. You got to have a frickin' obsession. And it becomes the fuel that really ignites your purpose into action. And then he talks about self-reliance. And self-reliance is really the belief that you can do something. So let me ask you this. If you knew 100% that next step, the next goal in the process, if you knew 100% that you could do it, would you be more persistent in getting it done? I would say so. So that's what self-reliance is. And all the people talk about that. If you follow, Tony Robbins at all, he has this 4 squares. It's, I think it's, God, I can't remember what it is, but it's, what you think your potential is, your actions, your results, and that builds your certainty and your belief. So that belief, that self-reliance gets bigger, and it's a full circle. My thinking big, the big, that's a framework. The big is for belief. That's that self-reliance. If you believe, you can imagine, then you can imagine more. If your belief is that you're at $50,000 a year, you can imagine $60,000 a year. That goes into the G, which is your growth, which is your actions and your results. So then you're at 60. Then you can imagine. So your belief now is at 60. Well, you can imagine now I can 75. Well, that channels your actions and results, and you grow, and you're at 75. So you have to have that self-reliance and know that you can achieve what you're designed to do. You have to have definiteness of plan. An organized plan, even a crappy plan, is better than none. You have to have steps. You have to stay in action. You don't have to have the entire plan. You just have to have the next step in your plan. You have to have the next. I remember when I was doing an Ironman, and I went from basically not being able to run, swim, or bike to doing an Ironman. You can't do that overnight. You have to chunk it down. I had plans. I paid for plans. This week, it took me 2 years. This week we're going to do this. This week we're going to do this. This week we're going to do this. Plans for every day for over a year. Plans. You have to have those plans. You chunk it down. What's the next thing in the plan that you can do? It makes even the most taunting thing. I never knew, a million years thought I'd do an Ironman. But it takes those, and when you chunk them down, it makes even the most wildest dream manageable with what you're doing. You have to have accurate knowledge. Knowing that your plan is going to work get you more persistent. When you know that if you do A, B, and C, you're going to get D, when you have accurate knowledge that that's what you're going to do and it works, that creates persistence, maximizing, the effectiveness really of your plans. And you have to have that special, that's what the whole thing is on specialized knowledge. You have to have cooperation. Harmonious cooperation with others helps build persistence. You have to have other people involved. And that's kind of where the mastermind group comes in. And we're going to go over that in one of the challenge. Run groups. If you ever run, you have the camaraderie, you've got the support system. You're not, if you find anybody that's successful, they have not done it alone. There has been a team of people that have helped them along. This creates, when you bring other people, it really creates the magic of energy, and it builds, without a doubt, persistence. Willpower. You have to have the habit of concentrating your thoughts on building your plan. It keeps you going through the grind. When you got to just will it out sometimes, but then you build the habit. And the habit, persistent, is a direct result of habit. And I want to explain that to you. And again, I do running, and I have a lot of analogies of running and that kind of stuff. But when I first started running, I couldn't run to my cupboard without getting winded. I didn't have the habit of running. So it was a chore. It was so hard to force myself to go out and run. It was excruciating. And then all of a sudden I look back and I had built the habit of doing it. I was no longer going to run. Running was running me. You've got to do the thing before you get the energy to do the thing. I had to go and build the habit of doing the thing, to running, before I really had the habit of going and doing it, before it was running me. You have to build the habit, because habit will absolutely keep persistence going and going and going. And I'm telling you, the lack of persistence is the major cause of failure. You find anybody that's failed, and I can tell you they lacked persistence. How long do you have to persist? Until. How long do I have to go? Until your dream is there. Any idea that you have, you're automatically capable of getting. If you've got a great idea, if you've got a dream, you can't do that and not be automatically resourced to get it. The only thing that stops you from you and your dream is giving up. Some people do it at the first sign. Some people, after a year, but you don't give up. You keep getting up. If you get knocked down 99, you get up 100. You just keep going. And that's the number one thing that causes people to fail, is persistence. You can have a bad desire and still make it if you're persistent. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be, the smartest. You just have to be the most persistent. And there are 4 simple steps, and they're actually in the challenge. So here's a day's challenge. It's two sheets, but there's a bonus challenge in here. And he talks about there are 4 simple steps leading to the habit of persistence. A definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment. A definite plan expressed in continuous actions. We're talking about that. You build a plan. What's the next step? Continuous action. You don't stop. You build the momentum. You keep going. This is a good one. A mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including, I would say not only including, I'd say especially, negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. Let me tell you, your friends and family are full of BS. And that's belief system. They are full of their belief system, and they're going to do everything they can to keep you from getting hurt. They love us. They don't give us these negative things because they don't want us to succeed. They don't want us to win. They don't want us to, they don't have the crab. They're not trying to pull us down. Human nature is we're made to survive, not be happy. We're made to survive. They do not want to see us get hurt. So we got to close our mind tightly to their BS, or else we listen to them. We're not good enough. Well, maybe this isn't the right time. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know the right people. It's all BS. It's all in the belief system. So do not listen to them. A friendly alliance with one or more people who will encourage you to follow through with both plans and purpose. And this is what I'm talking about. We're going to get into this. I don't know which day it is, but the mastermind, we're going to help create the mastermind group. This is when you go up and you create your alliance. How are you going to create your alliance to keep you going during the tough times, that are going to keep you motivated, that are going to keep you persistent? The first part of the challenge really is the second page. And this is something, I'm going to read this directly. This is directly from the book. And study this list carefully and face yourself squarely. If you really wish to know who you are, these are the weaknesses that must be mastered to be successful. They must be mastered to be successful. And we'll just go over a few of them. I'm not going to go over all of them. This is the list. This is the printout. Symptoms of lack of persistence. And we've got to master these. Failure to recognize and clearly define exactly what we want. Procrastination with or without cause. Usually backed up by a formidable array of alibis and excuses. Hello? Yeah, we do that all the time. Lack of interest in acquiring specialized knowledge. You've got to always be learning. You've got to always be getting that specialized knowledge for whatever it is that you're dreaming, whatever it is that you're wanting. You've got to always be learning and getting that specialized knowledge. Indecision, the habit of passing the buck on all occasions instead of facing issues squarely. Also backed by alibis. Yeah, we do it. The habit of relying upon alibis instead of creating definite plans for the solutions to problems. Wow. Self-satisfaction. I read this one wrong before, so it scared me. This is really self-centered. So if you are self-centered, this is one of the things in the book that he says there is but little remedy for this affliction. If you are self-centered, you better find a way to be unself-centered, because you're not going to be successful until you are not self-centered. You've got to give before you get. Indifference, usually reflected in one's readiness to compromise on all occasions rather than meet opposition and fight it. The habit of blaming others for one's mistakes and accepting unfavorable circumstances. By the way, that's my 150-pound Great Dane down there barking up a storm. Oh, I love him, but sometimes he's a butt. Weakness of desire due to the neglect of choice of motives that impel action. Willingness, even eagerness, not just willingness, sometimes eagerness to quit at the first sign of defeat. How many times do we do that? We do it in diets, we do it in relationships, we do it in finances. That's a biggie. Willingness or even eagerness. Lack of organized plans, the habit of neglecting to move on ideas. Here's the thing. We played the audio yesterday. Look right where you are. Don't be searching out in the future for what you need. It's already there. It's already in you. The habit of neglecting to move on ideas or grasp the opportunity when it presents itself. Ideas are like babies. We've got to breathe life into them. We cannot, the second you have an idea, you've got to nurture that. How long, if you had a baby and you neglected it for a couple days, what do you think would happen? Yeah. Same with your ideas. Same thing. Your ideas are like babies. If you don't nurture them, they're going to die. Someone else will take them. You've heard that before. Oh, someone stole my idea. BS. The habit of, wishing instead of willing. The habit of compromising with poverty instead of aiming for riches. Searching for all shortcuts to riches. People think Think and Grow Rich is a shortcut to riches. It is not a shortcut. It's a map, but it is not a shortcut. It is a law. It is a process, but it is not a shortcut. There is no shortcut. I've seen so many successful people, whether they read this book or not, and many successful people refer to this book as one of the things that helped them become successful. But you don't have to have the book to become successful. But every single person I've ever looked at that's been successful, I see these plans, I see these traits, I see these steps in what they have done. And here's the big one on that last one, fear of criticism. How often has the fear of criticism stopped us from doing what we need to do? Stopped us from doing what we want to do. The fear that, what are people going to think? What are people going to do? The fear of criticism, it to me is one of the biggest ones that we have to master. We have to master that in order to become successful. Now, here's the big challenge for today. Oh, you're going to love this. Here's the big one. You got to read chapter. And this is, by the way, this is why I pulled it from, it's the 8th step, but I pulled it number 1 to give you a little bit of a buffer. I want to make sure that you complete this challenge. I want to make sure you win. I want to make sure that with this challenge, we feed 400 people every time someone completes this challenge. So I'm giving you extra days. This is the longest challenge. This one by far takes more time than any of them. So for 9 days straight, not 9 days total, 9 days straight, I want you to read chapter 9. Read chapter 9. I'm not Cliff Notes, not Audibles. I want you to read chapter 9 for 9 straight days. And we'll visit this again at the end. But the reason, I'm not going to give you that now. We'll revisit it at the end. But how you do this is the one thing that my mentor told me. And I didn't understand it. But how you do this is how you do everything. How you do this is how you do everything. So read chapter 9 for 9 straight days. If you miss a day, you start over again. So you can go up to day 9, miss day 9, and still make it because you have 18 days to complete this. Okay? So 9 straight days. You're going to know the chapter well. I assure you, you will know this chapter very well after reading it 9 times straight. So until tomorrow is on desire. Oh, it's a good one. I love desire. It is the starting point. It is the crux. It's the heart. Tomorrow, desire. Do tonight's challenge. It'll take you about 35 minutes to read chapter 9. Spend at least 30 minutes on this. So spend a good hour tonight at least on the challenge. And I will see you guys tomorrow.